Hey folks, and welcome to this week's News and Community Spotlight. Witching hour for our World Building Unreal Challenge, Creep It Real, is almost upon us. Participants have until the end of October 29th to submit their entry to compete to be in for a chance to win cash and other fantastic prizes. Check out the full details on the forum event page. October's marketplace sale is here, and there are many products to choose from this month, with over 1,500 products now 50% off until October 30th. Dive into the sale on the marketplace and visit the feed to see some of our personal favorites and explore the sale today. In June, we launched Mesh to MetaHuman, the first feature in the new MetaHuman plugin for Unreal Engine. Now, the Capturing Reality team has come up with a tutorial to show you how you can take yourself in all your glory from your mirror to your screen in a new tutorial, where we show you how to take your first steps towards turning yourself or someone else into a fully rigged MetaHuman. Ready for use in Unreal Engine with no expensive setup required. Since 2019, Epic Mega Grants has supported 1,813 projects across 6 continents and 92 countries. Hear from a handful of these outstanding recipients, learn their stories, struggles, goals, and inspirations. Journey to the feed to listen in and get some inspiration for yourself. In one of our latest developer interviews, we chatted with the team behind New Tales from the Borderlands about the game's design shift and how Unreal Engine allowed Gearbox Studio Quebec to lean into performance capture without concern over production bottleneck by using UE tools, allowing them to focus even more on the resplendent universe, characters, and storyline that fans of the franchise love. Eager to dive into more developer interviews? The Astronaut's creative director and co-founder discusses the development process behind Witchfire, including the initial plan of the studio's upcoming first-person roguelite powered by Unreal Engine set in a grim, dark fantasy universe. Learn more about how the game utilizes photogrammetry to achieve stunning visuals, and how the studio leveraged UE's audio engine, and more, on the feed. Moving on over to this week's Community Spotlights. Follow the thoughts of Diana as she makes a choice that could assist in determining the fate of our planet in this thought-provoking and well-made CG short by Argentum Studio. Grow to the forums to watch the entire short and let them know what you think of paper or plastic. Created during their mentorship project at Think Tank Training Center, with welcomed guidance, Claudia Litwinski let their talent shine in their latest environment, Dragonfish House, where they were able to introduce different workflows and techniques that allowed them to deeply conceptualize their environment, especially when it came to shaders and sculpting. Swim to their art station and show your support for this gorgeous environment. Get closer to the breathtaking nature of Colorado in Vertex Interactive's latest cinematic piece, Colorado Nature, which is also available on the Unreal Marketplace. The landscape is over an astonishing 900 square kilometers based on LiDAR data. The vegetation is even spread out according to an actual world vegetation coverage map to really bring the beautiful setting to life and do it justice. Take a trip to their art station and take in even more stunning visuals. Thanks for watching. Catch you next week.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Inside Unreal, a weekly show where we learn, explore, and celebrate everything Unreal. I am your host Tina, and today I am solely the issue for any and all technical issues we have had and may have in the future. So I hereby grant you all full permission to roast me solidly for at least 30 seconds, and if they happen later too, feel free. Free reign. I unleash you. But we have a super exciting show today, obviously. We're going to be talking about the winners of this year's MegaJam. And with me, I have 2 incredible guests that some of you probably already know and love, but let's introduce them anyway. Let's start off with Guy.
Hey everyone, it's glad to be back and can't wait to share the results with you all.
It is so good to have you back, Sky. And then next, certainly not least, we have Dan.
I'm back. I thought I was going to be relegated to the dungeon, but I'm back.
Back by popular demand, we were forced to acknowledge you again. So,
Hey, I'll take what I can get, right?
Rats.
but yeah, we are back. I hope any of you who watched Unreal Fest enjoyed it. There was so much content. It was absolutely insane, and there's only going to be more in the future. So keep an eye out on any of those. If there were sessions that you were interested in, we may or may not be posting some of those recordings for you to see later. So keep an eye out. And there were also the live streams that we had done over that course as well, and you can view any of those on demand too. But with that, I want to get into today and all of the cool stuff we have planned for today. So yeah, finally here we have the winners of the MegaJam this year. It was really close. I feel like, not to speak on behalf of anybody else, but for me at least, it was really, really difficult to pick the top ones because there were a ton of absolutely phenomenal submissions that I spent way too long playing, personally. I don't know about you, Sky. I feel like you have similar stories to me.
Oh, I enjoyed taking my time with all of them. They were, there are some really amazing games in the complete list of all those submissions. And just seeing the creativity of some people and like the flair that they bring forward in their game is astonishing. And there are some that like are purposely, for lack of a better words, not annoying, in lack of a better words. Like there are some games in there like infinite clickers that I went into it being like, oh no, infinite clicker, and then I spent like a good hour clicking, and I loved it. And so stuff like that is like you never know what you're going to be exposed to, and the quality and the creativity of the games that people submit in teams and as individuals just blow me away each year.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite part about this is just seeing the variety. Like you get so many different ideas and some that like are just so clever that I'm like, I don't even put me in a room for a millennia and I probably wouldn't have come up with that idea. And it's just so fun to see all that.
I agree. There were so many unique takes on the theme this year that I agree. I never would have thought of in a million years, but it was not only relevant to the theme still, but also really fun and super intriguing to see the way that y'all took it and actually implemented it in your own way. And honestly, kudos, because it was at first I was a little nervous about the theme because I know it's maybe not as straightforward potentially as some others, but that was one thing that we really loved about it was it really handed over the creative freedom to you guys, and y'all went with it. It was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that's just the thing with the way everyone interpret the theme in different ways, whether it was a literal, metaphorical, or even spiritual kind of take on that was really interesting. Like we saw things from covering environmental issues with like pollution for the oceans, all the way to like the trope of like the heaven and hell vibe. And then there's also that general duality or being a duo in the game was just really exciting to see such difference. Every single game was just completely different, but it was so on point at the same time, which was great.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm entranced with the video right now, honestly, just seeing all of them go by.
But this is a great example of what we're talking about, where there's just such variety and just so many different takes. Like it's kind of cliche, but it's amazing how you can give like a group of people the same set of instructions, even like very simple set of instructions, and you'll get wildly different results, which is just super fascinating. I love that.
For sure. And like it's like some of the games were even games inside of games inside of games, which was mentally is a lot to wrap around when you're there was one by Mama Makes Games, and that's like you play almost as the protagonists of an indie game dev studio making a game, but inside of that game is the same, and it kind of repeats itself, and there's all these different games in one, and it's just really interesting to see where people go with things and how they tackle general development issues as well when it comes to how they're going to figure out what the next steps are in games and the objectives in game in relation to the criteria set out and also the theme as well. Like there is always that literal take on the theme, which is great. We love seeing those. And then you get some really in-depth, like, this is the sort of thing that people must dream about of a night. And I think it's like an insight into someone's psyche like that is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and to go off of that, like I think that's so cool because you do have some that it's like you get the two like opposite ends of the spectrum. You get the people that go like pretty abstract with a theme, like it still ties in, but it's like very much like you definitely had a lot of like there was a track that happened to get you to this point, and that's super cool. And then you get some people that have like it's like no, I'm going to take it pretty literally, but I'm going to do a very creative thing with that thing. So it is reads exactly what it is on the tin at face value, but it's still good and it has a cool a twist to that theme, which is awesome.
Absolutely. I did see a couple comments in chat saying that my audio was bad. Hopefully it's better now.
These do sound better.
Again, listen, I'm telling you, it's been a week. It's really been a week, but we're getting there.
We both just
Yeah,
had to
hopefully-
move back to back. Like we just had to do that at the same time. Like it was just necessary,
Yeah.
clearly.
Yeah, it's we don't believe in taking things easy over here at Unreal Engine, so but now that you can actually hear me better, I did want to make sure that I iterated on the fact that if you're interested in any of the games that you see in this reel as well, go play them, because I can tell you that there's so many phenomenal submissions that genuinely I spent ridiculous amounts of time playing, like borderline shameful, maybe illegal amounts of time playing. So if any of these look interesting to you, please go download it, play it, support that developer. Let's support each other, because game jams are not easy for certain. And I think the best part of this is being able to come together as a community and make something fun and make new friends and enjoy yourselves, right? So yeah, if you see any of these that you're like, wow, that looks really good, please go play it.
And while we're talking about that, can we just shout out to the community? Like the engagement in this game jam was insane and awesome and super, super, super cool. Like there was so many games and so many teams and so many people participating, and that's just awesome. It's been such a fun experience for me being on this side of the table for the first time for a game jam. This has been really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like last year, we saw like over 500, and we were like, "Oh, like this is now the medium, right? We've reached as the peak of what this can be." And then again this year, you guys blew it out of the water, and we saw thousands of participants across hundreds of games, and it's absolutely amazing to see. And we can't wait to do more in the future as well, and receive that feedback on how we can make it a better experience for you and your teams as well.
And when you get with numbers that are like this large, like it can be kind of hard to quantify. Like you hear like, oh, hundreds of games. It's like, yeah, that's a lot. But like you actually sit down to try to play hundreds of games, or for the sake of this little video that we have going on in the background, like nearly 500 videos, and you put that into a timeline and it's 13 hours of just like short trailers, you're like, wow, a lot of people really involved in this. And that's awesome. That was super cool.
Right.
Yeah,
And
especially as we going.
too.
Yeah, going through the list, and also in terms of people's general experience with UE5 too, and seeing that there were over 300 entries from solo developers, and I think that's astounding. The sheer amount of time and talent and probably sleepless nights that y'all took to do that is incredible. And also just welcoming like the newcomers as well. Like I hope that experience was fantastic on putting together perhaps your first game or the first time you've used Unreal Engine. And it's great to have you here.
Yes, absolutely. That's a good point. For anyone new who might just so happen to have this as their first stream, so happy to have you here. And for anybody that was new to Mega Jams in general, or just game jams to begin with, welcome. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope this was a good, fun time for you. And I hope that you'll join us next year too, because we do Mega Jams every single year. So if you missed out on this one, don't worry. There will be plenty of other opportunities for you to join in the fun. Again, we have Mega Jams every year. We've also been kicking up challenges as well. So if you're intimidated by a full jam, you can try out some of our slightly smaller scale challenges. Those are equally fun, also equally difficult in different ways, but just as good of a learning experience. So if this sounds like something you're interested in doing and maybe you didn't have the time this time around or you were nervous about it, I really encourage you to join us for some of the upcoming ones. I think you'll have a lot of fun.
And while we're talking about that with the newcomers and Mega Jam, I just saw somebody in chat ask like what these are. Do we want to do like a quick breakdown of what this whole thing is? I know we're at the end of this one, but
You want to take it away, Sky?
Yep, that's cool. So we have our Mega Jams each year, and they are a 7-day game jam event for teams of between 1 and 5 people. And this is to create a game from scratch using a specific theme that we reveal on day 1. And we have a kickoff live stream, and we talk about some sort of best practices and everything else. And it's a really good chance to take in some new learning content as well if there is time, and try out new things. And that's ultimately what we love to see, is people taking those risks and enjoying the moment and the good and the bad that comes with that. And we judge based on gameplay, visuals, audio, and the use of theme. And if there is a tie, we double up in terms of fun factor. And it's really great to sort of expand upon this going forward as well, because we love that many people will play to their strengths of their team, but they will also try these new things. And whether that's a new feature or if they're trying their hands at a new skill, whether it's diving straight into modeling to create their assets, like games don't have to be crazy packed with stuff to be really enjoyable. And that's what I like the most, that it's so open to interpretation, to games that people enjoy differently, whether it's, endless runners or platformers or even survival games. That I'm amazed that people have put together survival games for a 7-day game jam. Like, your people out there surviving. It's crazy, but I love to see it. And we see more and more each year, and we want to do better going forward each year round. And so please do, if you did enter, please give us your feedback about how that was for you. And if you haven't, why didn't you? What can we do to make it easier for everybody to enjoy themselves during this progress? Whether it's like more streams leading up to it, or mentorship in some way, shape, or form, in a broad sense. And yeah, we really want to just make this a really big, great community event for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, sorry, I'm totally entranced by the video.
again, like these are all the same theme. Like how cool is that? I love that.
This could
those are the
be
games that
like
took me back.
a year in review sort of thing. There's so many.
Should we just turn this into a watch play, let's play situation? Just watch party, that's what they're called, right? But yeah, like seeing some of the games
watch
that
play
came out
situation.
really bring some nostalgia factor as well. Like you see some of the I remember, browser games and different stuff like that, that was a very specific genre of game almost, because obviously there was only so many certain limitations that people had to adhere to. But seeing those come in to the game jams and taken to a whole new level, not only do you have that nostalgia, but you get to enjoy something new from that too. So I feel like childhood wise, I feel healed through playing so many of these games. And yeah, just ultimately a great experience. So thank you to everybody that participated. Incredible is what I have to say.
Yeah, it really is. And I have infinite respect. I try and also do the challenges and the mega jams along with everyone, and sometimes I can't do it. And I know that I'm not the only one who's trying to do these challenges and these jams while also having another job, or for some of you, maybe even two or more. So the level of passion and dedication that you put into these projects is admirable, honestly.
Absolutely.
This was the perfect verbal actions over. It was perfect time.
But yeah, I did want to also mention there's with people are used to the Mega Jam and the way we usually do the results live stream, we do have some lingering technical difficulties that meant that we won't be able to live play every single one of them. We just want to go in saying that. But we will be playing the trailers that were provided as well for those that we cannot play. Um, and yeah, definitely we'll have the blog coming out after the stream with the breakdown as well. So we definitely want to encourage everyone to go and play those games and to enjoy those in your own time too, because what might be displayed just doesn't do enough justice to these games and to honorable mentions and just everybody that entered. So please do definitely try if you've got some time, play like 500 or so games. It's fine.
You can knock that
Weekend's
out in a
coming up.
weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
And some of them, like, you'll just end up in for, like you said, way longer than you even kind of intended. You'll go in and be like, yeah, this is gonna be a fun, probably 15, 20-minute thing. And then you're clicking on something for an hour and a half and you're like, whoa, where did time go?
Like with the endless clicker that I mentioned, I was so I went into it being like, oh no, I'm gonna be here for a while, and then I enjoyed that while. It was and it was endless, and it was fun because you just wanted to see those numbers go up in the end, and I didn't even get to the end. That's how endless it felt, but it was good. It was a good endless.
Yeah, there's
There's some
one
really
there's one that's
carry on.
coming up that we're gonna show off later that I just spent forever just chasing chickens. Like, this is like Legend of Zelda or something. Like, that wasn't the objective at all. I failed the game like 5 times, but it was just so fun to chase the chickens around.
But that's the thing, right? Even if certain things might not go the way the developer wants them to, they may or may not come across that way when people are playing them. Like the chickens, for example, they didn't have like direct animations and stuff, but that made it. That
Mhm.
made that whole chicken chasing situation so much fun, because you just didn't know what was going to happen next. And so, like ragdoll physics or stuff with animations, the one thing I would want to say to people that want to start doing more game jams is don't worry so much about the polish, because some of the unpolished stuff is absolutely just so much fun to play and to enjoy, and you don't feel like you're, you know, having to, you know, kind of tunnel vision into the game because it's so much more fun because you can see the fun that was poured into making it too. Um, Although I know too many of you probably didn't sleep enough during the 7 days, so shame on y'all.
Well, and that's like an age-old thing where it's like working within constraints can be both frustrating and liberating. Like
Mhm.
it can be awesome because you might end up in a situation where like, oh, I wasn't able to do what I wanted to, or this didn't turn out the way that I wanted to. But then you go, but in this context, I actually can do this, and that's kind of funny, and that's or interesting
Mhm.
or entertaining or whatever it is. Um, it's really
Well,
cool
that's the
when you
yeah.
when you have those
It's the
situations.
general problem with scope as well, right? Is the initially when you wanna sit down to try and get your ideas together about what you want to make and what your team wants to put in, and it's so easy for that scope creep and to just make this thing that you want to do everything of. And then when you get round to it, you're like, oh, how are we going to fit all of this stuff in? And that's fine because it does make for some interesting creative decisions. But it's also great to just start with the small basic stuff. And I remember watching some of the streams and some of the content people were putting out while they were making their games. And I love the chaos, but also the dedication of that. And people trying to put their ideas together in that time frame. And then sometimes ultimately deciding on, stripping some things back and adding something in else later on. And that whole process really does help make those games what they are. Because I feel like if there was so much time gone into it, you wouldn't get those kind of funny moments as much. And I live for those personally. Maybe I'm just a scrub at games. I don't know, but those are great moments ultimately. Yeah.
Yeah, we might just have a couple of those great moments later in the stream while I am attempting my best at the games. Again, this is a free roast for me. I will hold back. I came prepared for this.
I did want to mention the one that was just on screen just a minute ago, Catastrophe. I went into the cute thumbnail of that game is that cute little cat, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be really cute. And then I'm having to throw them into like a trans-dimensional portal, and I was just like, why did you make me do this? And it was
Feels very companion cube, but
Yeah.
taken to the next level, which is better and worse simultaneously.
But yeah, if it's okay with chat, we would gladly start going through some of these finalists, and if that suits chat.
I think that probably does.
I don't know. Not seeing enough people agreeing.
You gotta give them a second. They have to catch up.
Oh yeah, I forget there's a little bit of a delay.
Usually 5 to 10 seconds.
Perfect. That's what we wanted to see. Okay, so what we're going to start off with the "Is this real life" category, which was for the best XR game. And these are always interesting because you never know what's going to come up with XR. And it's also interesting because I feel like "Is this real life" takes on a theme of its own, and you get some really quirky stuff. My favorite is when people do voiceovers. I love that. It's so much fun. So yeah, without further ado, we're going
we're gonna
to
try
announce.
We're gonna try to
Is
time
this
this.
real
Okay,
life?
I'm gonna hit
Yep.
I'm gonna hit the play on the sound, and
Got
then
it.
we're gonna try to do this. Okay, here we go. You ready? See if I can do this. It's close.
Yeah. As above, so below by Psychic Parrot. So yeah, ultimately this was such a fun game as well. I loved the play on the sort of both sides of thing, and we saw that somewhat throughout most of the games. And this was interesting in that you had to compete on both levels, and it was really fun, especially for VR. And yeah, wait, and here's a clip showing that.
This is the whole trailer, so we can cut to something else whenever you want, but it is it's there. I have my Oculus. I feel like I need to set this up and play this. It's one of the few that I haven't had a chance to do yet.
Definitely worthwhile.
It looks super fun.
And to answer chat, this is a clip. And yeah, is everyone, just want to double check as well, is everyone getting sound through? Because the beat definitely drops.
Should I raise it up a little bit? Definitely has a good
It's
beat.
always weird because I really want to get into this type of music, but I'm like, despite the pastel vibes, we need more like some hardcore. But no, it was really fun, and I love seeing stuff like this. It reminds me of like almost arcade games, but bringing that forward into VR is actually really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Psychic Parrot, you need to make more of this. That's an order. We want to see more. Perfect.
Perfect. Well, we can go back to this for the time being.
Yeah. Psychic Parrot. But yeah, all of these will, going forward, if you just join in, all of these finalists will be listed in the blog that will go live after the stream. So if people, your friends, family, Santa Claus, I don't know, can't make it to the stream, you'll be able to share that blog with them. And there will also be a sizzle next week, which will showcase the finalists as well, which is an awesome thing to add to your like portfolios or anything like that, and just also celebrate the community, and that's really great. Okay, are we ready to move on to the next one?
I think we can.
Okay, so the next one is the modifier Double Trouble, and this was for the best game that makes use of paired animations. So, like animations that interact with each other, or where two characters might do certain things, like hugging, for example, would be an example of that. And these were some really interesting games that were put forward in this modifier. Some creepy, some fantastic, and some strange, but all brilliant. And and so yeah, so without further ado, the
Let's hit the butt.
drumroll will yeah.
Without further ado, the drummer will ensue. I love the alliteration there.
Yeah. Winner of Double Trouble
I'm just
is
behind it every time, but
we got Rabbit Hole by Midnight Snack. And this is really interesting because it takes on that kind of Alice in Wonderland feel, which was great, but it had that kind of dark, eerie state to it. And you didn't really know where you were going to go next. And the paired animations kind of fun too. We'll show in the clip as well. And with there's like at points where the creepy rabbit like throws Alice down the like the hole and stuff, rather than just being like, oh yeah, Alice is just gonna go visit Wonderland. It's like, no, rabbit throws it.
in the most just like WrestleMania way possible too. That's so funny.
Yeah. And it was a really great play with lighting and everything else in this game. Really helped draw focus, but also there was an element of confusion too, because instinctively we want to go to where the light is, and that wasn't always the case. But that was fantastic to see. I must admit, when we got to this point when I was playing, yeah, like the switch on like all of a sudden, at first I thought that was a me problem, and I just wasn't looking properly, and it just, it's great. And there was a few moments of different games that did that as well, where you switch directions, and it just confuses your mind for a moment. And I think that's what makes it so enjoyable sometimes, is that kind of, okay, I need to reevaluate what I'm doing here because I'm now upside down. Where do I go? And then things will be the right way up, but you're looking for the things that are still upside down, but it's a door, so you can't really tell if it's upside down or not. And it's, yeah, it's good laugh. Like that one, for example, all of a sudden you're on the ceiling of something, and yeah, for platformers, that really throws you for a loop, because you not only have to worry about like which way you're actually standing, but which way you need to stand next. And the game just showed as well. That was another example of that. You have to go through, and when you come across something that you need to traverse, you have to switch to this new state. And sometimes that state has to be you now have to walk on walls and ceilings. So you lose all bearing for a moment. And like I fell in lava so many times in that game, but it was fantastic. More games need more lava. Take note.
Can we make that the theme next time?
Totally should. Do
Just
a
call it
separate
lava you
modifier
waiting
for
for.
it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. So we can move on to the next. And the next one is the Kit Basher. And this was for the game with the best use of the Kit Bash 3D Neo City Pack, as well as Kit Bash assets in general that people might own. So really interesting stuff here, and people's creativity on how they set scenes using Kit Bash assets and stuff like that is great. And I think kit bashing in itself is a skill a lot of people sometimes might frown upon, right? We know that there's this thing where people are worried about using marketplace assets and stuff like that in a game because sometimes people might, the kind of asset flip vibe, and I think that's complete rubbish, to put it politely. And it's a skill on its own, and putting all of these things together to create something unique, and that's great. So yeah, without further ado, the drum roll shall ensue.
I love it.
The winner is
still just behind.
Mastered by Point Link Force. This game was a little trippy at first, I won't lie. But congratulations to Point Link Force. And so, well, I think we have a clip for this one.
Yes.
This is a really interesting concept because it definitely plays into the theme of that micro macro world. And essentially, your primary character has to relive their last moments through a different form. And you meet this fantastic yellow man genie who tells you about that on the spiritual side and puts you back into the corporeal realm as a rock. So you have to find out what happened to you, your human form, and everything else as a rock. So you're rolling around, you're trying to and with the Kit Bash side of things, they've set the scene in this giant city, and you can see that as you roll around from that kind of angle is actually it really helps paint that picture of how macro and unimportant you are as a rock, which is good fun. Definitely worth playing. You know, I think I love that it was explained in a different way as well with the game as a whole. When you meet the yellow man and they tell you what's happened and what they look after, and you're just like, I still don't know what's going on. And then he's like, okay, yeah, fine, we'll let you go back. Doesn't tell you though that you're going to be a rock, and that's just it's great.
Kind of like a monkey's paw situation a little bit.
Yeah, and it's I think throughout as well, I like that you as a rock come to terms with existence and what that means, which is really surreal because as a human, this person didn't get that. But as a rock, they could understand so much more. But yeah, great, fantastic game. Definitely should play it. But yeah,
I just love the
congratulations again
creativity of
to
some of these names. Like they're so good.
There is, yeah, scrolling through like everybody in chat, you should go through to the submissions list and just scroll through all the different names and try and guess what they're about. Because some of them you get right off the bat and you're like, oh, this is going to be amazing. And others are like, I don't understand this. And then you play it and you're like, oh, that makes sense. And I love being surprised by games when you go into them expecting one thing and it's something else. And it's yeah, mind blowing to say the least. Okay, and so to reiterate on certain modifiers, the general goal isn't to say fit the theme the most or to have the best audio or stuff like that. There are some like that, but generally speaking, the modifiers have unique criteria So like the Kit Basher, that was for the best use of the Kit Bash assets. And going forward, we have a few others. Like the next one that we will announce is to do with the size of the game. So it's the best game of a certain size. So we will go for that next, but the Tiny But Mighty Award, which used to be the Tiny Award for anyone that was doing game jams previously, we thought we'd mix it up a little bit. Let us know if you like that or not, because who knows? So that criteria is for the best game that is less than 150 megabytes total playable, which is a real challenge in itself. And I think people from Slackers have managed to get it down below 100 megs before, and it's like that takes a lot of work in itself, and we understand that. And there are some great games that put forward into this modifier. Um, there was some like old style, kind of what you would imagine on like a Game Boy. I the name escapes me, but the game is imprinted in my head. It was by Long Play Games, I think, and you are a spitting llama in this kind of Game Boy setting with the rocks and stuff. So you're jumping around. The music's great. You have to get up the stairways. I think they might have been stairways to heaven. I don't know. And they've got these like mean tornadoes that you have to like llama spit at to stop them from defeating you. And that was a really good experience. Definitely check it out. I'll have to get the title and remind everyone what it is because it was great. The nostalgia factor of some of these games is really fun because you don't always expect to see it, right? We are surrounded in this day and age by so many games that like are next gen, they're photo real, you can't really tell, and they give you that kind of creepy vibe because they're so close to reality. And then you get thrown a curveball of a game that you're like, oh, I haven't played something like this in like 20 years. But the game is so smooth and the fidelity is so crisp and everything's just amazing. And yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So, Tiny But Mighty. I've forgotten what I was saying. Yeah, we'll go for the drum roll because I've forgotten my line already. That's great. Drum roll, what is it? I remember the drum roll will ensue bit, but I don't remember what the last bit was. So.
we'll get back to it. All right, we're doing Tiny But Mighty?
Tiny But Mighty, yes.
Let's do it. Drum roll, executed. I will time it perfectly one of these times. I will do it.
We'll get there. We'll get there for the last one. The winner of the Tiny But Mighty is Fregwood Spirit Warden by Catfrog. Fantastic game. Absolutely fantastic game. Congratulations. It's surprising how much of content is in this game for less than 150 megabytes. Like, I remember playing this and then I checked it afterwards and I was like, no way. But it's great. Great fun.
That is actually really impressive. Like, I can see things that they've done to like optimize it, like the trees is all just shader work and stuff like that, so that's really helpful, but it does not look like it's that small at all. That's brilliant.
And I think that's the thing about doing that, right, is trying to make sure that whatever of those corners that you might be kind of trying to cut around to make more space is that they fit with the overall theme of what you're trying to do. Like, if you've got like a photoreal scene, but your trees are not, they're going to stand out as to be like, Like, if you've got them set as an example, like extreme example, the trees are always set to LOD 10. But everything else is like completely crisp around you and like high fidelity next gen kind of photoreal stuff. You're going to know that's going to be like, what's this? And also, Jobu Senpai, thank you for reminding me. It's without further ado, the drum roll will ensue. Thank you very much.
There it is.
I have to do the thing every time.
Yeah, no, it's super fun because like looking at this, I can see a couple things that obviously have textures, the water, the ground. But I mean, I'm actually curious. I think the roof is just a different flat, maybe even just vertex color or just a flat material for each face, which is a really clever way of getting around that. At least that's what it looks like. This is brilliant. I love this.
Yeah. Same with like the playable, the outside playable space, like the water texture and stuff. that really helps to minimize where obviously the player is going to be. And it really, the camera perspective as well works in that favor too, I think. But ultimately, yeah, really, really well done. And y'all should check this one out. They also did post like a gameplay explanation video as well, which tells you a little bit more about the game. And I believe they've also got tutorial levels, so it's like a really for under 150 megs. That's insane.
That's definitely
yeah,
insane.
absolutely crazy. But there were so many great ones in this category as well. They were so hard to find. The fact that this is less than 150 meg. I think it's like around 138. I think is what it's at. But yeah, really good.
Yeah.
And if you like cozy games with a slight bit of chaos, this is the one for you. So yeah, Cat Frog, when is this coming to Switch? Just asking for many friends, I think.
Yeah, including me.
But yeah, definitely can't wait to see what happens next. We and to say that as well, we love it when we see these Game Jam games go even further, right? Like, there's no reason that you can't, use this as your almost concept or your prototype, and then go forward with that, and see that progress go forward. Who knows? Submit a application for mega grants as well. Those are still a thing, and Unreal Engine and Epic definitely want to help the community succeed. And yeah, this is a great time to learn new things, prototype, and get something out there. So yeah, and if you do go further with these games, please do let us know, because we'd also love to be the chance to try and promote the progress and everything else as well. Yeah, chat is like 7 days for this game is crazy. Yep, absolutely.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah, and I do want to, because I know it's in chat a few times people come up with team missing deadlines and stuff like that. Like, I completely understand how frustrating that can be, especially when you've worked tooth and nail for 7 days to get something together. Or like you submit something and then you do your next test and the previous test was fine, but something's broken in this one. That's okay. Like, that in itself is part of development. I get that it's frustrating because, prizes are fantastic. Everyone would agree with that. But there's that element of, working together with a team, often in cases, team members that you've never worked with before, from different backgrounds, different time zones. And, that in itself is something to take home and to realize how much you can do as an individual or as a team, and try not to let those things get you down. There will always be future game jams. They're not going anywhere. And now with the challenges too. So yeah, definitely don't be hard on yourself, and make sure that you reward yourself too with how far you came. So yeah, just wanted to get that out there.
Absolutely, these sorts of challenges. I mean, we call it a challenge, right? Like, this is not like a slice of cake or whatever, or a slice of pie. It's a challenge. It's tough, and it's a really great exercise in what you can do, putting yourself under certain restraints, those sorts of things. But because of that, it's also, you're bound to run into issues, and that's also okay, because now you've learned from that, and you can take those learnings into the next thing, be it another challenge or professional or a personal project, those sorts of things. It's all good. It's awesome. The fact that you even participated makes you a winner to me, and that was the most cliche thing I've ever said in my life. So I'm gonna leave now. All right.
Can you make that into a sign and put it on your wall? Like, those signs, the mindfulness signs that you can get everywhere. Like, I to be honest, I can't say it. We've got one in our hallway that says something like "Take the chance before you lose it." And it is such a cliche phrase, and like I kind of facepalm myself every time I read it. But it's also not wrong. Like.
Cliches are a thing for a reason. They can be cheesy and corny, but they're also true in most cases.
For sure. Okay, so on to the next modifier. That could also probably be one of those, almost a Never mind.
It is.
So the
That's
next-
a perfect segue.
Yeah. So the next modifier is use it or lose it. This was for the best game created using only a single 4-channel texture map. Which, talking about challenges, that's an extra challenge in itself.
That's
so
about as
for the
challenging as you
teams-
get.
Yeah, right. It's for the teams to submit, like, go for that. You clearly like challenges, and you definitely rose to it. The ones in this modifier were incredible, and they, again, going back to saying earlier about how everybody expects a certain fidelity or graphics sort of thing in games nowadays. It's so nice to go back to something that has not necessarily a simplistic way forward, because these guys that won this one done incredible things with their textures, and made use of all the channels, and seeing that breakdown in, like, for us, seeing that breakdown in, like, Photoshop, and then being able to play the game and see where they did what is really eye-opening, and you'll find out who you are in a second, but great work. So without further ado, the drum roll will ensue. And the
Closer.
winner of the use it or lose it modifier is, or what was above, fell below, by Team
Which,
Skirt.
again,
Congratulations.
Great name. That is a great name.
I've typed that so many times over the course of the last month, and it trips me up every
That's a
single
mighty
time.
big hole you fell into.
Loud.
Trying
Sorry.
to find-
I see one of the textures on that stick.
Don't see why I couldn't
Mhm.
pick one from the wall, though.
And the arm. Oh, that's so cool.
That last part freaked me out. I go a bit.
That is.
It reminds me of those things in the forest, I think it is, where they all, like, merge together. Yeah. But this had, the trailer for it doesn't do it justice, really, because there's so much more going on. Like, in their texture, they had, like, full head texture maps and everything else, the arms, everything else, in split between their 4 channels, and they utilized that in Unreal to bring forward different ones, and that was really great. And also, just generally with the theme as well, was on point too. This, it's that kind of, I feel like they lent towards this kind of catacomb feeling. And we're well aware that there is a movie title or two that have the title of the theme that we chose. Wasn't intentional, FYI, but it's interesting to see how things from our lives and things we might watch or things like that can influence our general creative flow and the ideas that we might have. And that's why entertainment is fun, right? You never know where it'll take you. But yeah, fantastic game. Hang on. Sorry, just spam bots. Yeah, congratulations to Team Skirt. I know the Game Textures team as well thought this was an incredible example of that challenge, specifically with using the texture maps and stuff. Really great. Yeah, fantastic. So
Yeah.
Okay, so we can carry on moving on. Carry on. Yeah.
Carry on.
So the next is the modifier fully kitted. And this was an interesting one as well. This was for the game with the best use of achievements, with AWS Game Kit. And achievements specifically in terms of, like, internally with the game as well. This, I think there might have been some confusion with certain things where, achievements, when we think about achievements in games, because of the way we might use certain platforms, like the Epic Games, getting achievements from those games to sort of display, right? But this was about achievements in game too. And so the game that did, which we'll mention who it is, did have a really good lead on character objectives by using achievements going forward. So you knew what you did right, and that was a nice way to tie it in quite naturally, rather than games that might be considered just achievement hunting games. So it was a nice way to track progress and everything else going throughout the game, and that was really cool. So, without further ado, the drum roll will ensue. Saying it for the rest of my life. And the winner for Fully Kitted is Upside Drown by Upside Drown. Absolutely terrific. It was really enjoyable as well with the theme. The theme again on this was really on point, and you'll see this in a minute with where that comes into play. So congratulations, Upside Drown. That's also
again,
confusing to say too.
Just such a good name, though. That is just so good. It's so simple, but it's clever. I love it.
So yeah, going through all of these steps that you had to do in this game to ultimately complete the game was set with these achievements. So, you know, trying to get inside the house, and I spent way too long, my own shame here, of trying to figure out how to do this. Because I was like, oh, the window's right here. Why can't I just do this? And it took me a good, 20 minutes to actually make sense of the game flow in terms of, listen to what the game is trying to tell me to do, rather than be like, well, I should have to do this, right? And that's the whole thing about duality, is how confusing it can be for the mind. I absolutely love this, of having, the upside down aspect of trying to make your way through this house. And one thing I really love about this is the lights. And the lights specifically, not the lighting, but the lights, with how they look like jellyfish when you're not underwater. They kind of like these hanging lamps. But then when you go underwater, all these lamps are now the jellyfish, which I really enjoyed. It's just one of those small things that is really cool.
Trying to get a non-blurry frame of it.
Yeah, these jellyfish lamps.
Oh. There we go. Non-blurry frame.
Yeah. These were terrific. And I didn't realize until later into the game, I was like, huh, that's actually really clever. That was really great. When you go under, there's this really nice neon glow. Terrific. But yeah, definitely check this out, but be prepared for, some mind fizzing. It's great.
Love it.
Yeah, congratulations
Absolutely
again to Upside Drown. Great stuff. Hang on again. Okay, so leading on from that, the next one we're going to talk about and reveal is the modifier Multiplayer Elevation. This was another modifier sponsored by AWS. And this is for the best multiplayer game that uses Amazon Game Lift. And they were, they allowed for credits and stuff like this. And generally, it's in looking at this game that we're going to reveal, it's actually really interesting on the take of how you can take something that in some way, shape, or form might already exist, and turning it into something that is kind of a bit more interesting in, just the standard original version of that kind of thing. And the fact that, games like this exist again with multiplayer is really interesting, because I feel like a lot of quickish games or strategy games that you could play with friends were often kind of browser based a lot of the time. And they were really cool things. I don't know if anyone else remembers, but there was a game called Tactics Arena, which was really fun. It was kind of like monster / wizard chess. Fantastic. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent. But yeah, without further ado, the drum roll shall ensue.
Never gonna get old. Oh, so close.
The winner for Multiplayer Elevation is My Game Is Your World by A Curious T. So congratulations, A Curious T. I am also curious what kind of tea you are. Is it an Earl Grey, a green, chamomile? Who knows?
It's the one that comes in
we
a
have
package that just has the question mark, and you just have to figure it out. That's
Yeah,
up to
it's
you.
just called tea. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah. Just tea. And each one is a different blend.
Honestly.
So if you buy a different box, it's like a completely different one this
It's
time.
never the same again. They just start
Yeah.
mixing them all now. So yeah. I fancy a cup of tea now.
We've doing this. We can't. I'm
Yeah.
calling the police. We
Before
cannot.
chat goes on, it's not because I'm British, okay? It's fine. Put myself in that one there.
Let them off at the
So yeah,
pass.
So this is actually a really interesting game, and I like its sort of simplicity in the game itself on borrowing something that kind of, that strategy that already exists and turn it into something, that others can enjoy. And in terms of like game jam, in terms of looking at the criteria of the thing they wanted to enter, this is a perfect example of that. And yeah, it's good fun. I like these sorts of games, test sort of the mind and then minds of your friends. Especially if you might have a growing superiority complex. It really helps with that.
I was going to
Again,
say,
speaking on
it
behalf
might
of
also be a
not me.
dangerous... Yeah. It
Yeah.
might be a dangerous thing to do depending on your friends, because you might have a either new
Yeah.
appreciation or you might do this.
Oh yeah, I growing up, we're playing chess a few times with like my dad and stuff, and thinking that I was like, oh yeah, I'm okay at chess. I'm okay at chess. And then I was like, oh yeah, he's like, oh, I've got this glass board and like all the little marble ones. I was like, oh, this is really cool. And I think my excuse now is that I got worked up over the fact it was a really cool set, because he would thrash me every single time. Like there was no hope. Um, but the more I've grown up, I've realized that there is actually supposed to be proper strategy to chess. It's not just my own internal head strategy being like, oh, I'm just going to move this here for whatever reason. And there's actual moves that people make for a reason. And it's not just random. Like, who would have known?
I'll keep this brief because it's a longer story, but my grandfather was the person who made me realize that adults can lie to you, because I was young and I was like, oh, do you have this really awesome checkers board? I want to play you against check. I'm like 7. Like, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I like beat him and I'm like, wow, I beat my grandpa. I'm so smart. I'm so cool. And then something happened and then he played a real game and just throttled me completely, and I'm just like, oh my god, you lied to me.
Yeah. It's actually in chat for all the parents out there. How many times have you let your children beat you at a game to spare their feelings? I'm curious about that because I feel like there's so many stories about like adults lying to kids about things that would either just be funny, and
It's
I
it's got to be like
have so many
80
stories
something
about that.
percent, right?
I don't know.
It's gotta be a lot,
Similarly,
yeah.
I kind of am curious about it now too. How many of you absolutely don't beat on your kids because they need to learn the harsh reality of losing? I need to.
We've already had one person like never, no mercy.
Yeah,
So
Twitch
that's
chat is brutal right now. They're all saying never, no mercy.
I for years I believed my dad when was going on like buses and stuff, and if you're from like in and around London area, that buses are everywhere. And it was like, oh yeah, I was probably like 7 at the time. He's like, oh, if you ask the bus driver, they will drive through like a McDonald's drive-through for you if you ask nicely enough. Luckily, I never tried that. But like the more I think about it, all of them have like a height limit. So like the buses that were very common where I was were like the double ones, the double deckers. So thinking about it, really, that would never happen. Like that. I'm glad I never tried though. Sometimes parents just want to life lessons learned, right? Cool. Moving on from cup of tea. Okay, moving on to the next modifier, which will be audio experience. This was sponsored by like Boom Library, We Love Indies, and as a whole, like Dynamedian. Absolutely great folk. And so this is for the game with the best audio. And this was specifically looking towards the storytelling aspects of audio and how that complements the game as a whole. Sometimes it's difficult to fit the audio around the game you want to make. I think for people that aren't specifically into audio or know a lot about audio, that kind of is a last thought about, they've set their environment, they're, looking for now ambience and stuff like that, and VFX sounds almost. And that's usually a last thought. But storytelling through audio or audio, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like supporting the gameplay as a whole is really cool. And that's specifically what they were talking about here. And so, yeah, without further ado, the drum roll, Salim's getting out of my wall. And the winner of the audio experience modifier is Below Decks by Jellyfishes and More. Congratulations, Jellyfishes and More. The names, I love the names.
I know, they're so good.
It's great. This is actually a LAN multiplayer based game, which is really cool. If you've got folks that you live with, student halls, that's still a thing. It's really great. I love the take on how all of it. You see a lot of these kind of like sea battle games sometimes, and I love them personally, but they're always, I feel like there's not enough. And this perfectly captures what I would love to see more of that of the chaos of people having to like repair the ship in real time, people loading and unloading cannons, firing, and this bit really threw me for a loop with having to catch the stuff you need to repair your ship. So it's going to be, if you're only playing with like 2 people or you try playing this on yourself, this is going to be like absolute chaos. But that's great. Yeah, and ultimately, Boom and Sam, like overall, the ambience and the music really suit the game well and creates a good balance for both experiences as a whole. It was well designed and integrated SFX with multiple samples and effects. And like audio interacts with gameplay too. That was something they really liked, how, when the ship goes down, for example, audio interacts with that. But overall, very supportive to the game without potential negative effects of having that audio. Because sometimes that is a thing, whether it's using one sound for one thing, but that thing constantly gets repeated. So although the sound is really cool, if it's constantly repeating in your ears, and I'm going to call this one out like footsteps, for example. When it's footsteps on like a material and they are always the same, like there is no sort of modulation or anything like that. Personally, for me, that throws me off a little bit because I kind of want to see that variation. And if you can do that in your games to take things to the extra step, is a really good way of doing that, is to try and vary those a little bit. But Dan is more of an audio person than myself, so
I've been just kind of listening to all the different parts that make this up, and I love exactly what you're saying, like with those sorts of details, but also just the depth of it. Like there's so much going on, but it's not noisy. Like you can hear all the creaks of the ships and the different firing sounds and the water splashing, and then the music's happening, and it has all those different layers. It's actually really nice. I've been trying to turn it up. I don't want to drown you out, but like just take a second to admire that. That's pretty cool.
That word was perfectly timed for what was on screen. Just drop it to the water. It's a good
I did that on
point
purpose.
You mentioned, like the chaos almost of the game. And while the music kind of has all these different things going on and all the sound effects, the music and sound effects themselves are not chaotic. They kind of just push you towards kind of that adrenaline rush of playing the game, and I think that is really well done. So congratulations to Jellyfishes and More.
Congratulations. Fantastic. This is awesome. Turn down a little bit.
Okay, so we're moving on to the next modifier category, which is Light It Up. This was sponsored by Nvidia. This was for the game with the most creatively lit environments. That includes real-time ray tracing or like those sorts of effects around that. Like there was entries that use like the caustic versions of their plugins and stuff like that, which were really well done. And yeah, and I forget the name, but like I want to shout out like the name. I think it's the Balerion, something along those lines. I know you're in chat, so I apologize if I butchered your game title. But that was really well done with the caustics. Sorry, another bot. But yeah, terrific. I think, that was Ambushy, I believe. But yeah, really well done on that game. That was really intriguing, and again, there was like other nostalgic aspects of the concept itself, and kind of like the D&D rolling of the game. But yeah, really great stuff. Cool. So, and I do want to also mention, actually, with this category, there were so many interesting and creative games using different RTX elements, and this was so hard for Nvidia. And yeah, I just want to say everybody that entered that category, phenomenal work. And we honestly can't wait to see more of all of the ones that entered for this, because whew, that was a hard category. But without further ado, the drum roll shall ensue. Okay, and the Light It Up modifier winner is Ant Osventure by Dylan Brown. I always trip up of that name because I want to say adventure. The wordplay on these people, crazy.
I was going to say, Dylan's not that hard of a name to say. I don't.
No, Dylan. Yeah, Dylan's okay. I was talking about Osventure, but it kind of makes sense because the voiceovers in this game. Forgive it if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure they're Australian, right? I'm not getting my accents mixed up here. And this was really creative, the way they used the lighting and everything else, and throughout the game too. I think for people that might just pick up the game to give it a little whirl, might not really get to what makes this so cool in a sort of lighting, RTX, and those sorts of effects. Because as you progress through the game, you do see those different lighting environments, and the hues and the saturation on these lights are brilliant. I also love personally how the micro macro effect is seen again here, like in other games, where the as above so below in terms of a literal sense comes into play, and you do get that sense of being small without kind of narrowing your vision, which is something I really like to see doing. And as you've see our little ants progress here, you'll see like the next sort of scene with the glowing mushrooms and like the red hues coming up as well. It's just really cool. Nvidia really liked this one, and it was hard for Nvidia as well. They were just like, oh, because there was so many great, fantastic entries, and to everyone that entered this modifier, like, well done. And congratulations to Dylan Brown on Ant Osventure.
Yeah. And that's just a testament to how great this has been. Like the fact that like it is so difficult to pick one, it just shows how wonderful everybody has done with this and how many great submissions there were.
I also do love Loki. The objective of this game is to find a slice of bread. Like, I love that. That's you're enjoying the scenery and you're just like, oh, what am I like? You know, that kind of what is the person doing? I'm trying not to interrupt the voiceovers, but I realize you'll see the video on the blog afterwards. It's fine. It's great. And play it. These sorts of scenes as well, like the cutscene kind of vibes where you see this and like the glistening on the rocks as well, from those lights. And as they progress even further, there's really cool scenes with like red lighting and other lighting, but it all like you saw it just there, yeah. So like this heat lamp, I really like the way that comes across, but with all like the light still coming through the wood shafts above is just really great. And I think we might have just found the bread.
We're about to.
We're about to find the bread. And overall, I love that, like, there's a slight grain to it as well. But I think it really works for this too in terms of like grassland dust. And you see that in this cabin as well with like the dust. You've got slight cobwebs in places. And that kind of attention to detail on how that's going to affect the overall lighting and mood and those light shafts and stuff like that is just really cool. And top notch on the voiceovers. Those are hilarious.
I've never imagined ants with an Australian accent, but now that's all I'm going to hear every time I see an anthill.
Yeah.
It's just going to be like a cacophony of Australian accents.
Yeah, that's going to have to be the way forward now, I think. Yeah, it's great. Cool. Congratulations, Dylan. And also congratulations to everyone that entered that modifier. Well done.
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay. How are we doing for time? I'm so aware of like when I get talking, I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm talking about games. This is fantastic. I can talk about games for how long's everyone got? 24 hours straight?
We did start a little late, right? So you have to add at least 15 minutes to whatever the normal amount is.
Yeah, that's fine. We're doing all right. It's great.
Yeah, we're doing
I
great.
hope everyone's enjoying this as well. These are always, and then, again, I want to reiterate from what we said earlier, like, well done to everybody that has entered. Like, just entering is an achievement, and putting together a 7-day game. And let's be honest, we know it's not 7. I hope it's not 7 straight days, people. I hope that in amongst there was some sleep and there was some hydration and stuff like that. But to do something in 7 days is phenomenal. And I hope that everybody that entered is aware of that. Especially if this is your first game that you've made. That is crazy. Like I'm an engine every day, and I can put something together in 7 days. Not something that was good. Like I would focus on one thing, and that would be it. Like you would just have a panoramic of just environment, and it would just. You'd be
I barely
there,
get
just-
dressed in 7 days, so.
Why is that a mood? That feels like a mood.
Too relatable. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh no. Cool. Right. So we're going to move on to the next modifier, which is make us go wow. Photo real. Emphasis on the photo real. So this is sponsored by ArtStation, which was great to have ArtStation and the MegaJam sponsors this year. Absolutely great stuff. And there was a lot of interest in these modifiers, and you people don't quit. This is some really good stuff that you guys make. And you just, I reckon that you've said, like, seen, I'm going to enter a 7-day game jam. That's going to be a real challenge. You know what? We're going to make it a challenge for whoever's looking at all these games. And I'm pretty sure that's what everybody did. That's we're on to you, chat and community in general. We're on to you. So the Make Us Go Wow photoreal was for the game with the most stunning photoreal graphics. So that's hard in itself, right? Because again, to what we've mentioned before about how people kind of expect, photoreal in modern games, right? Like you look at some of the modern releases this year, last year, and how strong they are in that kind of realism. And I think to a degree that also numbs the people that play them because they kind of expect that going forward. And I used to be one of those people. Like I go admit that I would only play games that were like stunning. And they had to be of like kind of like the photoreal side of things, not a stylized stunning or anything like that. It was always like that. And I'm happy to report that in the last few years I've become more acquainted in a variety of games. So yeah, I got over myself on that. Anyway, without further ado, the drum roll shall ensue.
Oh no, I lost the drum roll. Hold on. It's coming. Here we go.
And the winner of the Make Us Go Wow Photo Real modifier is Little Red Heart by Oximus Prime. I said that right, yeah. Cool. So congratulations, Oximus Prime. Really well done. This was fantastic. I love, and I do believe we have a clip.
Yes.
And the perspective of this is actually really great. You'll see it in a second, but it's great to have that like point of view. And it's a really cool play on that macro micro stuff too at the same time. And I think that's really enjoyable in these kinds of things.
Like this is a great example of that, like just showing how tiny this character is, and then you zoom in and it changes that perspective.
Yeah.
But I like that establishing of like, no, you're a ladybug, you're tiny, you're super small.
Miniature.
And then beautiful,
Yeah, that's the thing.
beautiful
Look,
piano.
Everything from our own perspectives, you think about day in, day out, and how big we feel because the world around us is kind of small. But you look at things like this, and you feel like you gain an appreciation to, everything else.
Yeah. And this one specifically, like I'm curious what the devs' intention, because it's actually pretty tough. Like it's pretty hard to fly this thing, which I think is actually kind of interesting because you could have very easily just made this like, all right, and then you just go anywhere you want because you're a bug. But making like the actual challenge be like navigate as this bug with the with these limitations and this controls, it's like, oh no, I actually have to think about what I'm doing here, which is cool because it kind of complements the beautiful part of it. Gives you something to do. Although apparently I got stuck there.
I mean, apparently life is hard as a ladybug. That's
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, this was great, and I feel like we're all in appreciation of being able to just like kind of watch this, because of how stunning it is. Like really well done on this. It's nice to have that kind of relaxed feel to games and stuff like that, and as people have pointed out in chat, like the animation of the ladybug itself, where you can kind of see the legs working simultaneously, and it's not like kind of skipping. I guess would be the. But yeah, this is really nice. The lighting is fantastic as well. It's really bright and light, and I think it really aids that kind of feeling too, overall, of that kind of realism of that. Again, I also love the shadows. Sometimes shadows surprise me. Like I kind of forget that shadows are a thing sometimes, I think, because depending on which way you're standing as you're walking down the road, you're not always going to see a shadow. So sometimes I'll see it in games and I'll be like, oh, that shadow's cool. Or seeing games that play with shadows as well is.
Yeah. And it really just with like that light coming down on you, just again, kind of really helps establish just how tiny you are. Like everything just feels so imposing.
Focal point.
Yeah.
Cool. Congratulations again, Dylan Brown, for the winning Light It Up.
Great work.
Okay, moving on to the next Make Us Go Wow Stylized, which is for the game with the most stunning stylized graphics. Again, sponsored by ArtStation. It's just a really unique game, is all I'm going to say before... Oh, I've forgotten it.
Without further ado...
My mind's gone blank. Yep. Without further ado, the drum roll shall ensue. We should do an echo. And the winner of the Make Us Go Wow Stylized modifier is Backstage Shenanigans by Backstage Crew. Woo. Fantastic, unique game. And the style of this is really cool, and like the way they've set this kind of 2D stage, but you still have that depth, which is really nice. Everything looks fantastic. And I know, Tina, you really like this one as well. Like this was kind of that kind of unique side of things.
The tower's neighborhood wasn't.
Yeah, this one definitely has a soft spot in my heart for sure. It's incredibly unique. I think that the the way it's done stylized is very nostalgic for some reason. I can't quite pinpoint why, but I don't know, it just gives me happy, warm, fuzzy feelings, and it's just a phenomenal game.
To me, it gives me that nostalgic feel because I remember cutting out little things and little pieces of paper and putting them on popsicle sticks and doing the same thing as a kid. So it's like very emblematic of that, and it just kind of sends you right back there, which is super charming. I love the look of it. And that's to his eyes. I just can't get over it. They're just hilarious to me. And they're just like, bam. Got like headlight eyes. Awesome.
Yeah. It's
Now that you've
so
mentioned it, I can't
it's so
stop.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'd love to see this in some other ways too. Like, I don't know if Backstage Crew are going to do more of this. Like, I would love to see more of this. And like in different ways too. Like, I feel like eventually doing stuff in color could be pretty awesome too. Or like, you know, just throwing it out there as an extended idea. But like, what if the theater company wasn't doing a very good job? So like as you progress through your career as like the theater, things start becoming colorful and you bring in color back into the theater, stuff like that. Just you can use that idea. It's fine. I don't think it's that much of a brilliant idea. So it's, I that's just me being honest.
Something that I like
But
about
no,
this one too is that like it's obviously stylized very clearly. And the style is beautiful, but I also like how it's also leaning into a very realistic kind of lighting. Like especially if you look, I'm highlighting with my mouse that you can totally see right now. But you look at that shadow as he moves that light, it's very soft, very diffused, very realistic, and it looks really nice. And that actually helps stand against the rest of it that's so stylized and make that actually shine it like more, like stand out even more than if it was all just very heavily stylized.
very well said.
Thank you.
Also, Tina, chat's asking what your dog's name is.
Yeah, they're if y'all couldn't tell, I'm in a slightly new setup right now. My dogs have free reign of the background. If you've seen the small one, her name is Zafira, as in the goddess of wind, because she's a beagle and she's very loud. And then the bigger one, her name is Eldritch because she's an Eldritch horror. There we go.
A very, very cute Eldritch horror.
Yes, absolutely. The Eldritch monstrosity you'll ever find.
I'll do this real quick just to make chat happy. She's a little too old to be jumping up and down and stuff, so she's not going to be a lap dog. But there's a little doggy there in a bed. She sleeps a lot. She's 15, little Jack Russell. Oh my god, trying to do this looking through the thing is very difficult, but she's just napping.
I miss napping in the day when I was 15.
I know, right? I don't like thinking about how long ago being 15 was.
Oh dear.
According to the last stream, you're like 7,380 something years old, right?
It was something like 53,333 or something like that. It's really good. It's really good. And that's how I feel. That's how old I feel, if I'm being honest with you. When I get out of bed in the morning and every part of my body pops that shouldn't, I'm just like, yeah, I feel 53,333.
Oh dear. Well, hopefully you'll feel better tomorrow.
I think it only gets worse as time goes, but I'll be hopeful.
Yeah. It's been going for a while, so maybe it will start reversing. So,
with any luck.
Cool. So absolutely great modifiers so far, and yeah, fantastic games. Both the finalists of those modifiers, as well as just everyone that has entered this through different modifiers as well. Like, so many fantastic games, and I really hope that people don't feel disheartened if they might not make the finalist placement, but they are incredible games. Don't be hard on yourself, and your games are incredible. And
Yeah.
just
But-
take that as a win as well. Whether you were able to submit on time or not. And I really want to reiterate that. That's why I was saying this a couple of times now. But please just take that into mind, and be kind to yourself.
Yeah, like keep in mind that there really are only a handful of winners, and when you have hundreds and thousands of submissions, I mean that's a small amount based on the amount of people that are participating, but that's okay. Like again, if you participated at all, that should be a win. Like if you end up in the finalist spot or whatever, then that's a bonus on top of that. But that's like you guys are awesome just for even participating. So be kind to yourself.
We're getting one of these life lessons every stream for the last several weeks, and I think that at the end of the year we need to create a list on this is how people should do things going forwards.
It's like the Unreal Commandments, but they're all just like self well-being things. Brush your teeth, drink water, be kind to yourself.
Okay, so moving on to the next modifier, who's one of the prizes is, I don't know if people have noticed, is with Tina.
I don't know how they could see that with everything else she has in the house.
I said chat roast me. I never said you could roast me, Dan. Okay?
I'm sorry.
This was never part of the agreement.
You're right. I've overstepped my bounds.
Yeah. So the team behind Tina is by Falcon Northwest. They're sponsoring and have sponsored this category for years, and they also supply Unreal Engine with their dev systems and stuff. So absolutely great. Tim even has a Falcon Northwest. So, but yeah, I've lost my train of thought now. I'm still thinking about what Dan said. So Army of One is for the best game developed by a solo developer, which is in itself is a feat of its own. So yeah, there are so many each year that are solo developers, and that surprises me almost every time too, because it's hard. That's not easy, even as a team of 5. But to do that as a solo dev is just phenomenal. Yeah. And as Ben Mir says, solo devs are the real heroes. There was 300 entries as solo developers this year, and they are incredible. And I see each time so many more complete games too. Not just they feel good. They all feel so good, and the way they play. And yeah, it's fantastic. And the system, you've got the MegaJam graphics on it, which is always great to see. So you can lord it over everybody forever. If we're going back to that superiority thing, we can be humble about it. Whatever you want to do.
Humble superiority. I love that. That is a great combination.
But yeah, without further ado, the drum roll shall ensue. The Army of One modifier winner is The Rest by Tashkas. I hope I'm saying that right. And the rest with a hard T at the end.
It's like when your mother's really mad and she emphasizes all the consonants. Go get rest. You need to sleep. Leave me alone.
Sometimes we do that over here. Sometimes we forget our T's. As people like to point out sometimes. But it's fine. I just drink my water. No laughs on that one. Okay. But yeah, congratulations, Pashkas. This is a great game. And yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit. But I believe this is one of the ones that we're able to spin up. So I'll talk while that gets ready. But yeah,
Tina,
this
do you
is
want
a great game. The vibe of this is also really cool. They also use minimal textures too, which is really cool to see their texture map as just like this chroma. Like, imagine that you're going looking for paint for your bedroom or whatever it is, and you got the color chart, and like their texture map was just this giant color chart, which was absolutely funny to see. Yeah, this was great, absolutely great. I loved the puzzle aspects of this, as well as the aesthetic and the playing area too, is really cool. And just generally how polished this game is, and you'll see it at the moment. Like, there are multiple levels to this, and for a solo developer, it's really cool to see. And the mechanics in place and playing with lighting as well here and there. Um, yeah, paint swatches. Yeah, thanks for reminding me their actual names. Thanks. I'll write it down next time. And yeah, as I'm in chat, all the solo developers need to team up to make one huge studio. I That would be a force to be reckoned with, because everyone's so used to, like, when they need to do things, they just, they'll do them and stuff. But working all of those skills that people have harnessed as a solo developer, probably being like quite a generalist, would just be a force.
Mhm.
Is there a top 3 on this one? There isn't on this one. This one is also a modifier for solo developers. So um, that is something to, though, if people in the future would like to see like sort of runners ups of these modifiers like next year and stuff, please feel free to suggest that. As I said before, we're open to all suggestions, and we want to hear from the community on this. So yeah, on everything as well, like how we generally do all of the jam. We want to know what you think and how we can make it better for you. Are we having some tech problems?
We
Yeah.
are.
Okay. Do we want to just do we
The
have
video?
a clip? Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
roll with
we
the clip.
have the clips.
Everybody has to make sure they play it afterwards, right? Okay, that's the rule,
Yes. We did this
It's
on
auto
purpose so that you guys would all go play.
chat.
Well, that's a little loud. Sorry, guys. These were
this
new.
was a really cool. Carry on.
No, these were new additions, so I didn't get the audio was not adjusted on them. I have fixed that
Okay.
now. We should be good.
But yeah, this was really cool. The play on lighting on this was really interesting as well. I must say, personally, when it got dark, I kind of just sat on the bench for a while and waited for time to go by. Like, it speeds up as you sit down and rest your energy, because I love the way the light plays into it when it's dark. But maybe it's my eyes, but I for a long time. But it was really cool. It was really unique, and like the way that things worked in this. And it wasn't always the same on each level either. Like, you would go to do something thinking that you are just going to do what you did on the last level, right? And you're like, okay, yeah, this is the solution. This is where we're going. And that just wasn't the case. Like, there would be, okay, I just need to turn on these lights. Okay, but this light's behind this bookcase. How do I get behind the bookcase? And then you're like going around and you have to match up. You have to, like, okay, there's a bookcase over here. Let's play with this bookcase. And that moved that. And it's like, the thought went into kind of getting you to move around the space, even though the space is small, was really intriguing too. And I like that you made use of all of that space. It wasn't just, okay, here's point A to point B.
Yeah, and speaking of you mentioned, I believe it was Upside Down, it kind of like breaking your head. I had a great time with this one. I also feel really dumb because I was having some trouble with some of it. Like, I got to the point where I'm looking at my energy bar and I'm like, ooh, I'm probably not gonna finish this one. It was pretty challenging, but a good kind of challenge. But it just, yeah, you really had to think about it, or at least I did.
That's what I like about these games, in any game.
Yeah, I totally agree. This one is, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but this was actually one of my favorites, because I have
preferences.
I
How
know,
dare
I
you.
know.
What are you, like a
I'm
human
sorry.
and you have like biases and stuff? That's weird.
Listen, okay, I'm sorry.
You need to be
Next
a
comes my
rock like me.
apology. But yeah, honestly, yeah, I'm gonna throw out a couple of unpopular opinions here. And I don't apologize, but it took me a while to appreciate voxel art. I'll admit for a little bit there, I didn't. But over time, I have come to appreciate it not just because one, you can make some really genuinely beautiful things with voxel art, but two, it's hard. It's really, really hard, I feel, to make something that is fun and intriguing and compelling to play while still being um something that brings players in with voxel. I feel like it's really easy for it to look too simple, but this game just it is, I mean, anyone watching this, I'm sure you can agree that this game is just absolutely stunning to look at. And then on top of that, it's so much fun. As long as you enjoy puzzle games and things like that, it is just incredible. It really does make you think. It's not a super easy puzzle game. You can't just blast through it. There definitely are a couple of levels that will really throw you for a loop. And it was just phenomenally done. So I really have to, and the fact that this is made by one person, this is an incredibly well-deserved win on your part. I could not get enough of this game. It was one of the ones that I spent way too long playing.
I'm almost remiss to bring this up because considering the last stream I was on, I feel like I'm going to become the lighting guy, which I guess isn't the worst thing to have. But to kind of go off of what you're saying here is like doing voxel art well is really difficult. Very similar in pixel. I mean, voxel is just a volumetric pixel, but doing that on its own is pretty tough, and I think that they've done a wonderful job with that here as well. But it is also being really well elevated by the lighting. Like, it is stunningly well lit for this. Like, this looks really great. Like, just this simple sitting on the bench and watching time of day happen. It's something you've done in Unreal 100,000 times probably, but it still looks so good in context with everything here. It's a wonderful. I love it.
Agreed.
Ditto.
Yeah. Cool. Moving on to the next modifier. I believe Ben is still in chat. We have the Procedural Magicians modifier. And this is for the best game that used Houdini from Side Effects. And, seeing all the different procedural generations and how people use Houdini for different genres of game too. And it's always quite surprising. I admittedly forget how powerful Houdini can be. So when I see the Houdini streams and stuff like Project Titan, stuff like that, and I look at it and go, wow. And then seeing game devs utilize that in their own way for what they want to do is also, again, mind-blowing, because these tools are there to just completely change the game. And yeah, I think it's great.
Is that a badum-tiz to change the game? Was that intentional?
Oh, it wasn't, but all right, can we edit this out? Yeah, it was.
It's cut. Chat, forget it.
Yeah.
Chat. They've all forgotten.
It never happened. Yeah.
Never happened. I need a neuralizer.
So yeah, without further ado, the drum roll shall ensue. I'm gonna check Twitter bio now. And the Procedural Magicians modifier winner is Untethered by Monocyte Games. Congratulations. Fantastic game. And funny. I love seeing
Very
stuff like
funny.
this.
Yes.
Yeah.
This one is great. This one is
It's
awesome.
a good time.
Yeah.
They're all awesome, but this one's also awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic. So many games surprise me, and I've said this a few times, but looking at like how they used Houdini with this, the multitude of different ways they utilized Houdini from assets and everything else, but it plays so perfectly into the game itself. And I love that they've got this kind of aesthetic vibe of like these bright colors, but the aim of the game, and and I like that kind of juxtaposition of that, especially when the grannies get mad. It is really fun. But yeah, it's ultimately, I think more people should use tools that are available to them. I'm personally an advocate for, if a tool helps your workflow, or if a tool makes it easier or allows you to do new, unique things, go for it. Try them out. See if it can benefit your workflow. And Houdini have tons of learning content as well. So it's definitely something that is approachable. And Ben is a very friendly person, so um, reach out to Ben if you have any questions on Houdini and stuff like that. It's your own fault for being in chat, Ben.
Not to call you out or anything, but
Yeah, we would never call you out by name, Ben, but
yeah, Ben. Cool, but yeah, definitely check it out.
it's
it'll be
it's
on
so
the blog as
charming.
well.
Like
It
like
is.
above
But I feel like
everything
it
else that
shouldn't
it
be.
has. Right. Yeah, exactly. Like above everything else, above like the wonderful use of the tools, the fact that it just is fun, like it's just a fun game. It has so much character, like just in and of itself. It's awesome.
yeah, it's
is
a
fantastic.
happy, cheerful game with evil granny on the loose, and I'm down for that.
Yeah. It's one thing to mention as well. Like each of the levels, the house and stuff changes like procedurally and stuff, and I think that's really cool. So also like if you play it several times, I've played it a couple of times, but I didn't pay as much attention as now in thought that I feel like I should with this, because I'm now curious on how many possibilities of different like housing variations there are for the old people's home. Is that what they call them? I don't know. Dan, you should know, right?
I mean, that is a name for it.
Oh my god.
Cool.
F in chat for poor Dan.
I don't think I've ever been.
Sky.
I don't think I've ever been speechless before. That was wonderful. Oh my gosh.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm gonna need an ambulance after that one, I think. That was amazing.
Cool. Right, we can move on to the student finalists now. It's great. It's common in the UK to call. Yeah. Okay, maybe let's. Okay, yeah. Well, we've already established I'm British. Okay, so
You are?
easy. I was going to try and put on a fake accent, but my mind went blank. And I don't want to offend anyone either with doing a really poor accent. Maybe later.
We should have planned this ahead of time and just halfway through switched. You did an American, and then I'll do the British.
Never mention it.
Yeah, thing. Swap the camera positions and everything.
Just hit us with the strongest Valley Girl accent you've ever heard in your life, and then no context for it.
I feel like I would go so over the top with things, though, that it's just like, yeah.
Isn't that kind of the point of accents, though? Like for an accent, you have to do one of two things. You either have to nail it, or it has to be a cartoon. Like there's really only those two options with that.
Yeah, I could, when I was doing back in like my performing days, the only accent I could really do was an Irish one. But it wasn't. I don't think it was a great one. But it was my go-to every time. So yeah, I feel sorry for people that had to watch those. Anyhow,
all right. If we can get
I'd like to think I make
enough
up-
people,
I
I was gonna say if we
hear it.
no.
can get enough people in the chat. Scott, how many duets do we need in the chat, Sky, before you do it? 100? And somebody has to count it because I can't.
Count first, and then come up with a.
You're gonna double that amount.
Not doing it right. Student places. So this year was something we tried doing from what we started doing with the challenges, and adding students places as well, because we know how like daunting it can sometimes be when you're a student or learning new things across the creative industry. How daunting it is to like throw your hat in with people that might be industry veterans of like 10, 15, 20 years or 40,000 like Dan. So we really wanted to give people a chance to feel comfortable in submitting and participating in the event as a whole. And yeah, so that's
that
why
was the worst time to take a sip of anything ever. Oh no! I woke up the dog. Okay, come here, Buffers. Come here. Say hi to the stream. Oh, oh, you're grumpy. I know. Oh, I know. You keep going. Oh, you got bad breath. You got bad breath.
Cool. Right, we wanted to make sure that people felt like they could enter. And we've had feedback in the past where it's that can be daunting. So we wanted to make sure that there was options for that. So if you're a fully enrolled student, whether from a big, small, part-time, whatever it might be, as long as you are actively enrolled, that you and your team would be. Just a note of that. Like if you and your team were all enrolled, then you can enter as a student team. And hopefully in the future as well, we want to do this each MegaJam as well. So if there's any educators out there or any students that have some ideas on how we could also make that better and help students succeed in that too, then let us know. So we're going to start with third, and then we're going to go second, and then we're going to go first. So without further ado, the drum roll shall ensue for the third student place.
Okay, let me just make sure I'm picking the right one thing here. Okay, cool.
And the student third place finalist is Vacuum by Space Vacuums. Congratulations. Yeah, and I love seeing some of these student games being put together, especially from varying levels of students too. Not always they're not always set big kind of institutions. Some of them are smaller, like game dev orientated stuff, or they might be students on different arts in creative arts in general, and that's really cool to see. This game is fun and terrifying at the same time, because as many people will know, when you're jumping in games and you're not used to the game, you don't know how far you can jump, right? So when you then put added stuff in where you've kind of got that glide and slow down with the physics, is it really throws you for a loop sometimes, and there was a lot of falling through space.
I was gonna say, I can't think of anything terrifying about falling into space indefinitely until you're gone. Like that sounds fine.
But in theory, you would just keep going? There would no be end. There would no be end. It would no be end for sure. There would not be. There would be no end. There would just keep. You would keep going the way that you started, right? Like whatever way that you've got velocity for. I think. There's any like physicists in chat? Is that how it works? Hypothetically, if we were falling through space, would we be going down, or just in the way that we started our velocity?
Whatever velocity and then whatever gravity of nearby things that would adjust your trajectory, I think.
Yeah, well, I hope I don't get like sucked into some planet's atmosphere. That feels. Well, actually, I'd probably be. Yeah, that probably wouldn't be a problem if I was stuck in space gliding along.
I would probably be like, yeah, I would actually probably be like, please, a black hole, a meteor, something, because I don't want to do this for the next 4 days until I dehydrate.
Until you hit a random bit of space debris. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, as long as we're far enough away from Earth, that shouldn't be a problem. Equally terrifying. Okay. Congratulations again to Space Vacuums. This is a great game. People should definitely try this out. Moving on to the second student place. Mind went blank again. What's the first line? Someone cue me
Without
in.
further ado.
Yeah, why do I keep forgetting about that? Without further ado, the drum roll shall ensue. Okay, we have an angrier drum roll. And the student second place finalist is Plighty Peasants by the Tiny Tugboats.
And when I was talking about the chickens before, this was the game. I spent way too long with these chickens. They are so funny.
I love the chickens. And we have a clip for this too. So this was actually really fun. And the chickens were a challenge.
I still laugh. I played this game for like an hour and it's still funny to me. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was so unpredictable with the chickens. Like, you were like, okay, I'm getting this in a line and I'm going to put it in. Because my first run through of this, I decided that I would spend the coins to begin with on the chickens. So I was panicking until the first tax collection that I was never going to catch a chicken. And so I managed to catch one, enough to do the sunflower seeds. But yeah, it was really fun. This game is great. The whole idea is you're just a simple farmer, and you've got to tend to your stuff, but obviously you've got your medieval monarch over you that wants his taxes. And if you don't pay on time, you get catapulted, which is hilarious in itself, but also terrifying for the chickens, probably. The ultimate goal is to build your own catapult and get your own back. But yeah, ultimately, a really complete experience. And yeah, this was really fun. Another one of those cozy games with a slight hint of chaos. So again, for you, when is this coming out on Switch?
Yeah, this is a great example of, like you said, a complete experience, but also a simple design executed about as well as you could in that amount of time. Like, there's not a terrible amount to this, but what is there is just brilliant. It's super fun.
Honestly, the only request that I have for this game is make it multiplayer. Because imagine playing this with just a small group of friends. Unstoppable.
Yep. And it needs to have like I just lost the name of the game. There was a game that did it before this, but the one that I'm thinking of now is Fall Guys. You need to be able to like hold on to your friend so that way you can like drag them into the boulder and let them get hit by it.
Human falls flat, I think is the
Human fall flat. Thank you. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Thank you. Yes. That's exactly right.
This would also be fun, like, with the chickens, to have even more livestock, too, of varying sizes that all behave the same way. None of them, they're all on their side or in some other way, shape, or form. That would be fantastic. But no, well done to the Tiny Tugboats.
Yeah, no, it was brilliant. There's a clip that I have. I wish I had it on here, where I was just walking towards the sunflowers to cut it, and the chicken was just like moving like this, and it moved really quickly, and then hit the curb, and then just did 5 flips, and then landed like in the bushes. And I clipped it, I sent it to Sky, and I'm like, I'm actually laughing to myself to tears over this clip. Like, it is the funniest thing to me.
Chickens be chickens. That's my next sign that I'm gonna make.
No, please.
I'll buy one.
No.
I'll buy one.
I'm gonna like ship them all to you, Tina, so you can just have all your walls. We expect no furniture, just signs on the wall.
Yeah, absolutely. Those will be my only possessions.
Just to answer a quick question in chat, out of interest, can we do a trailer after the deadlines? So we do need a submission video with it, which can just be a gameplay trailer recording. Doesn't have to be fancy. But obviously, after the fact, if you wanted to play your own game and create some sort of like cinematic cut or anything like that, you would be welcome to add that into the thing, just so that we can see that too. That won't be a part of like the general submission criteria. But if you have time somehow during the 7 days, it's welcome then, or you can do that after. That won't be part of the judging bit, but yes. Okay, first place student. Without further ado, the drum roll shall ensue. Get there at that. And the student first place finalist is Jump Down, Fall Up, by the full title of The Fantastic One-Man Band of the Traveling Dr. Ariel Quinteros.
You nailed it! And congratulations to what she said.
Yeah, congratulations, The Fantastic One-Man Band of the Traveling Dr. Ariel Quinteros.
Oh, nailed it again.
That's going to be my new warm-up.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. Yeah, this was a really interesting game, and like the education team loved this and everything else. It was like really clean, and the sort of, in some degrees, the simpleness of some of it was really great to really draw your focus into the areas that mattered. And we'll show you a clip in a second. But like the way the movement of the puzzle works, and then switches your perception of which way is up, really throws you for a loop. And that is also great. And seeing the multitude of different puzzle levels in order to get where you're going. And like, I feel like it was very clean in the lights as well. It wasn't like overly chaotic. With some puzzle games, I feel like there could be so much in that distracts you. And this was this nice sort of, you kind of knew what you wanted to do and you had to work it out. But the main sort of distraction is which way is up. That really worked nicely with the theme and stuff like that. This was ultimately really great. I want to like more puzzle games like this, because I usually am not a puzzle person, and there is some bias probably there. This was really well done, even for a non-puzzle lover. This, definitely give it a shot. The sound effects are cool too. At least you know when you get it right.
I feel like, for me, it gave me such intense Portal vibes. Like, obviously, there are different games, but the general, the vibe was very Portal-esque. And I mean that in the best possible way. Because, Portal's a classic, and it gives that same very clean, but honestly, sometimes incredibly difficult. See, I don't know if I'm just exposing myself as being bad at puzzle games right now, or if these were actually legitimately hard. It's one or the other, or both. We can't. Both.
It's usually yes. Here, yeah, usually the answer is yes.
It's a phenomenally done game. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree.
And again, just such a great
really
and elegant use of the theme. Like
this section right here. Okay, I have a bone to pick, all right? Because they did this so fast and so easy, and I timed it. It took me over 25 minutes just for that last bit there. I'm not kidding, okay? It was so hard.
They cheated.
And then you watch this video, and they do it just one go. Like, I call hacks. This is
to be fair.
Yeah, it's definitely cheating, yeah.
They did know the answer.
But, okay.
It's not good enough.
Hear me out. Technically, I did too, because I watched the video first. So,
You just
and I
killed
still
yourself out.
couldn't do it.
You had an out, Tina. You had an out. You were set, and you're like, nope. I'm digging that hole. We're doing it.
Yeah,
I'm
I
too
watched the
honest,
walkthrough,
alright?
and I still.
Oh.
Brilliant.
Okay. Oh. Yeah, definitely give this one a shot, and the rest of them too. Yeah, we'll move on to a. Yeah. Before we do, congratulations again to the fantastic one-man band of the traveling Dr. Ariel Quinteros.
You're just bragging now.
Yeah, I did want to do it. So yeah, we'll go on to, this will be the third place overall. These are not the student ones. This is just the general overall category of first, second, and third. And we're going to start with third place. And without further ado, the drum roll shall ensue. This is
I hear that in my
hard
nightmares.
everything. And the third place finalist is Backstage Shenanigans by Backstage Crew.
Wonderful job.
And I definitely think even Chow will agree. Like this was a really cool concept and unique game, and definitely deserves that sort of placement in the finalists. This was really great, and we saw them earlier as well with the Make Us Go Wow Stylized. And even ArtStation thought this was a really unique use of bringing forward that kind of stylized art style in general. But like definitely deserves that third place finalist spot. Really awesome game.
Yeah.
So congratulations,
Yeah.
Backstage Crew.
Congratulations. Brilliant work.
Yes, I did. I wanted to save a couple things to talk about this game for this section as well. Before, I wanted to mostly talk about just the graphics, of course, because they did win the Stylized prize. But I really want to give commendations towards the fact that this game has an incredible amount of replayability, especially for the type of game that it is, because you don't have to do what the storyteller or the narrator tells you to do, right? You can purposefully put people in the wrong places and it changes the story. And there's literally hundreds of different options that you can go through because of that. And it's so much fun. There's so many shenanigans to get up to. It's a fantastic time. I really cannot recommend this game enough. It's so much fun, and you have to play it at least once. It's a really good time.
Yeah, I love that. And it's such a natural way to do like replayability, right? Like it's not something you get like forced in like, oh, do an achievement or grind a level or whatever. It's just a very like my own curiosity drives me to want to play this and see what different things can happen, which is to me the best sort of incentive for that kind of replayability.
Couldn't agree more. Just want to quickly answer one of the questions in chat about thinking about a finalist being able to take a modifier place too. This was something that we touched on from feedback last year. Whereas it used to be that you could win potentially multiple modifiers. And this year it was changed to a finalist can win up to one modifier unless there was no other eligible entries for that extra modifier. So it's finalist and modifier, or just like modifier and so on. And it also sometimes depends on criteria too, because sometimes the criteria would be for the best game, like that is this or that, and sometimes the best game that meets that criteria may find its way into the finalist placements because of that as well. So sometimes it can't always be fully avoided, but we brought on like the feedback from last year, and we wanted to make sure to do better by everybody in the community that participates in the jam to make it sure it's an overall better feeling for everyone involved. Just wanted to make sure that's clear. So we'll move on to the next, which is the second place finalist. So without further ado, the drum roll shall ensue. And second place finalist is Beyond Outbreak by Beyond Outbreak. Congratulations. This was an interesting game.
I don't see its relevance culturally at all.
It was like, yeah, like we know, everybody knows games like Plague Inc. and stuff like that, and also the fact that this game is a game but also has the mini game within it too. And you'll see what we mean about the mini game. In case people didn't realize, you are currently infecting the population with a virus.
And a surprisingly spiky one too.
Yeah. And then you go into this mini game where I don't know I forget what the game was called, but you start as a small dot, and you go around eating the slightly smaller dots to become a bigger dot, and you and this was really interesting. Like the people have said, like the tilt shift camera, and the general vibe of this scene here, like this overall thing, is really well done. And again, it's a really good play on that macro micro with the theme, because you are almost like this. You're far back, like you are almost omnipotent in this, and the people below are from this perspective very small, and spore, what people said, spore, thank you for that. But no, really great. I like that this area of gameplay too doesn't have just one set lighting or general feel to it, where it goes through the cycle of the day and everything else, and like even the subtle hues of those that are infected that you can make out in this video as well is a really cool touch. And yeah, it's great.
The crunching sound effect as it eats the other cells is just way too amusing to me. It's way too amusing.
Well, this might add to people's nightmares, but I like to imagine they've got little mouths.
The next time I get sick, I'm just gonna lay in my bed hearing this sound. I'm like, this is it taking over.
Chat, you're welcome for the future dreams.
Well, we've already done the sleep paralysis demon with the lion, so we might as well add to it.
Yeah, the idle lion.
Yep.
That's what we're here for. We're here to inspire dreams. Did we go the wrong direction?
We do it in every definition of the word, like every single one.
But no, this is fantastic. Absolutely great.
This one was awesome. This was another one of them that I feel like my actual playtime on this one was long. I was gonna give out a specific number, and then I thought better of it. But it was long. It was a while.
You're learning.
Because there is a certain simplicity to it, which also gives it a really high level of replayability, I feel. And it's just, I don't know. It hits that spot in my brain that's like, okay, I'll just play this for a couple of minutes. And then you keep playing and you keep playing. And then all of a sudden it's 4 a.m. and you haven't done anything else. And
it has that precisely just one more, right? Like, I'm just going to infect one more person. I'm going to do this minigame one more time. You just keep doing it over and over again. And then, yeah, you're right. It's 4 a.m. You're like, oh my God, I have to be up in an hour.
Right. It's really well done.
Yeah. Great stuff to Beyond Outbreak by Beyond Outbreak. Congratulations again. what's the name of this game? Beyond Outbreak by Beyond Outbreak. All the links and to the games and stuff will be in the announcement blog after the stream. So yeah, you definitely play them out, and also visit like the 2022 Epic MegaJam itch.io page and check out the submissions there, because there are so many good games. You know, and you don't need to worry about if like you don't play all the games in your various game libraries. There's 500 plus that you can play, and that's fine, you know? Bonker says, I can quit anytime I want. No, it's not how it works.
If you have to say that, then you've already admitted defeat.
Lying to yourself.
Are you ready for the final one? The final line?
Final.
You got one more delivery of
First
it.
place.
Yeah,
One
you get
more.
one more
Okay.
delivery.
I was going to go for the accent, but I thought
You should have done it. You should have done
I was hoping.
next time. Okay. Next time we do a challenge, we'll do it. Okay, so without further ado, the drum roll.
Oh no!
Without further ado,
forget it, chat.
the drum roll shall ensue. There we go. That's a hard. And the first place finalist goes to Fregwood, Spirit Warden, Cat Frog. Congratulations, Cat Frog.
Wonderful
Phenomenal
job.
experience. As we talked about briefly earlier, this was also the Tiny Award winner. 100 and less than 150 megabytes. Absolutely crazy. This was such a complete experience that this is why I want so much more of this as well, because it kept you on your toes while also being very chill. It was and I think they even described it as a cozy game for lovers of chaos or something along those lines. That is so true. This was fantastic. I love the different elements, and the proceduralism as well. I'm pretty sure that it was procedural as well, and that adds its own chaos to replayability. Because on the first playthrough, I was like, oh yeah, I've got this. Things are all spaced out right, nice and evenly, and I'm like, okay, I've got this, no problem. Second time, I had things hiding behind a tree, and I was like, how do I get this? And then the things would come after me, and I was, yeah, it was hectic, but it was super fun. So yeah, absolute well done for this absolute masterpiece of a game, and I can't wait to see more of it. We need more.
We definitely need more. This is brilliant.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. And I do want to give a specific call out to Honest Dan Games and Spacey 3D, because just genuinely incredible. So good. And I see both in chat there. I'm so glad you both are here, so you get to see us fangirling over your hard work, because it was so well done, and it, like, exactly like Sky was saying, it feels like a full experience. This is something that I could easily see myself just buying for Switch today. Like, it really does feel like a full, complete game. And I would also like to thank Spacey's mom, since we're all doing that apparently.
Mom.
But
oh, can I not do that? Sorry.
it really is genuinely. Oh no, we're moving on. It's great. Okay. It's a great game.
It really is
so well done.
It really is.
So congratulations.
Yeah, like this is a prime example of something where you could say, hey, yeah, this is like a small part of a full game. And I've been like, yep, I buy it. Like, this is like the definition of a vertical slice to me. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah. Like, I can totally imagine this being a much bigger landscape and, multiplayer. It gives me some inspiration. I don't know if there was any certain inspirations, but like Don't Starve comes into mind, and stuff like that. And I love that kind of feeling for this specifically. Like, just, I can't wait to see if you'll kind of like do more with this. I hope that you do, but no pressure.
A little pressure.
There is pressure.
We'll be checking in. We'll be checking in on your stream, Honest Dan. We know where you stream. Yeah, absolutely.
We will be
brilliant.
expecting.
And,
Yeah. Fantastic
Um,
job to
and-
everybody,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
definitely here.
You can't bribe me on
Aw.
this, Dan. I'm not doing the accent.
Oh, Sky. Sky. Honest
Uh,
Dan Games
I'm
just
very
said they
honest.
will consider doing
Oh.
more if you do the Irish accent. The stipulation's been made.
I shall not
You
bring
have
it
the
forward
power.
myself on the internet. I do it all the time. The next one, I promise. I'll train up.
See, I was gonna say what you do, Sky,
We'll
is you
remember.
flip it on him, and you say, "I'll do the accent once the full game is out."
Oh, yeah. What Dan said. It's Dan.
I just feel like I betrayed
Oh,
my own
no.
kind by saying that. I'm
I was
sorry,
gonna say,
Dan.
is this Dan v. Dan
Yeah.
right now?
Yeah, I think.
I'm so
yeah.
sorry.
Thanks, Dan. In your old age, you have provided wisdom. But yes, absolutely congratulations to everybody that even participated in the event. This was a phenomenal game jam, and seeing all the games is just super cool, and the effort that went into them. And just a quick mention as well, for those that are the finalists and such, you'll be reached out to in the coming 2 weeks, which will be for just general information for the fulfillment as we go forward with the prizes and stuff. So yeah, look out for those emails. It'll be with the ones provided on when you submitted the games on itch.io. So if any of those details have changed dramatically, especially if you're a solo developer, please make sure you reach out to community@unrealengine.com to notify us of those changes, to make sure that we have the correct contact information to follow up with. Other than that boring stuff, apart from getting prizes, because that's woo. Seriously, like everyone that participated, thank you for being a part of this, and really can't wait to see what future events bring, especially with the challenges. If you don't know about the challenges, check them out. There will be a note about that on the blog as well, so that you can check out the challenge that happened and the challenge that will be concluding on Saturday. That's a point. That's a point. Right. So now that you've probably gotten some sleep back, you have 2 days left if you want to compete in the Creep It Real challenge. Details of that will be at the bottom of the blog. It's also on the forums. Essentially, it's a world building challenge with the theme of Creep It Real. Definitely worth checking out. We'll be doing more challenges in the future too. So yeah, definitely. We want the challenges to be like a supplementary opportunity to the Mega Jams as well. So that's, yes.
Yeah, and to answer a question that I saw in chat, the most reliable way to keep an eye out for our game jams or our challenges in general is honestly on the forums and on the new website, fancy, beautiful website that we have, which is dev.epicgames.com/ what's after that? We've added a lot of slashes.
Community?
What's the slash? Thank you. /community. On there, you'll be able to find all of the major announcements, and that's in regards to everything Unreal Engine 2, not just our challenges and game jams. But if that is specifically what you're interested in, make sure you keep an eye out there, and you'll be up to date on when we release out these new things. As well as we're going to try to continue doing streams around the jams and the challenges too, to make sure that you all have the opportunity to learn about it, first of all, but also have the opportunity to kind of pick our brains about it, ask questions, especially in regards to rules and things like that. And also just to pick up some tips and tricks along the way while you're creating your projects. So keep an eye out there in those locations. Oh no, what?
Is,
It's quiet.
we're just like,
Oh no.
but yeah, I can't wait for what comes next with the challenges and MegaJam and all the content that there will be, and the collaborations that will come as well. So there's going to be some really awesome stuff for the community to indulge into when it comes to like future events and stuff like that. And hopefully, we are working on a sort of landing page, if you will, for challenges and events and stuff like that for the community to engage into. So we will update the community as and when that is available, and that can be your point and call of seeing that. But yeah, I think unless Dad, do you have any final comments?
No, I would just say, like, for everybody who was a part of this, and even those who weren't, like Sky has mentioned a couple different times, give us feedback. What did you like? What didn't you like? What would you like to see more of? What would you like to see less of? We're trying to find ways to make this as fun and engaging as possible. So if there was any hangups or things that you'd like us to consider going forward, please let us know. We're all ears, and we really want to make the each one that we do even better than the last. So.
Yeah. All right. Well,
And for those wondering, we're going to post the link to the blog that is now live on Stream Chat. So we'll take a peek. And just as a reminder, the sizzle for this event will be coming next week.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, with that, once more, big thank you to everybody who participated in the MegaJam this year. Obviously, it's not what it is without you all here and this community that we've all built together and the incredible projects that you put together, the fun that we all have together and being able to play these and experience these. So big, huge thank you to everyone who participated and even everybody who just hung out and watched and was just part of the process. You were also just as important, and maybe it inspired you to potentially try out the next one. That would be super cool. But with that, also, thank you to both Sky and Dan for being some wonderful guests today. It is always lovely to have both of your beautiful faces on stream here. And thank you, everybody who watched today's stream. Thank you so much for celebrating with us and with the winners. We really appreciate you being here as well. And if you're interested in going back and watching some of our other thoughts and opinions, or if you couldn't watch the whole stream, no worries. We post all of our streams in video format to both YouTube and Twitch at Unreal Engine. And don't forget to keep up with us at Unreal Engine on all social media as well. And there's a lot of ands here. Make sure you come to the forums where you can hang out with us, get the latest news, and find all the links associated with today's stream, as well as tons of other incredible content. But yeah, again, one last big thank you so much, everyone, for being here and for hanging out. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
Take care of yourselves, guys.
Oh, yeah.